Hello, my name is Joey Sen, and I'm pitching a story called Shattered Glass. I'm going to be using Blake Snyder's structure to format the plot, but in this explanation, I'll challenge myself to keep my plot summary shorter than his. So, in Shattered Glass, we follow a girl named Sarah Streets who's struggling with issues related to her identity, her relationship with her abusive father, who just so happens to be a pastor, and her best friend, who is a girl that goes to church with her, who she has feelings for. I think it's safe to advertise the obvious. The story gets pretty dark. So I'm putting a content warning right here for themes of religious trauma, depression, and suicide. You've been warned. Sarah's father, Damien, ends up hurting her mother in a significant way. This leads Sarah into much greater rebellion than she's ever had before, and there's a lot of back and forth between Damien and Sarah's power dynamic. We start with Sarah in a state of full, fearful, submission almost, but her relationship with Mia leads her out of that fear and into sort of a new kind of happiness and all sorts of new forms of rebellion, including sneaking out in the middle of the night. This eventually goes wrong, of course, as both Damien and Mia's oppressive mother both find out what's been happening. Luckily, Sarah and Mia are able to keep their feelings hidden from their parents for the time being, just not from each other. So Damien still seems suspicious. So to try and trigger Sarah, he forces her to be a part of the next week's sermon where he plans to talk about the sin of homosexuality. Sarah agrees and becomes more inspired the more she reads. The next Sunday, she does more than debunk her father. She calls him out for his actions on the church's stage for everyone to hear. Mia, in this moment, is shamed and taken away, and Sarah is unable to save her. Beth tries to get away from Damien, but he holds her financially captive. There's a lot to that, I won't get into it here, but Sarah and Beth plan to steal from Damien, then leave the house together and move as far away as possible. But in the process, in a drunken rage, Damien kills Sarah's mother, and Sarah, hiding it from her dad, trying to hurt him in the same way he hurt her, slits her own wrists while hiding from him. Damien grieves while burying his family in his own backyard. He then confesses his action to the church with humility, and due to Pastor Cody vouching for him, the entire congregation forgives him, just as God would. The final image is Damien looking up toward the cross, saying, "My daughter is in hell." Meanwhile, far above the highest star, Sarah hugs a man in bright white clothes, and we end on a somewhat hopeful image of Sarah's true fate. I hope to portray a clear metaphor about the ways pastors have harmed LGBT children and the hypocrisy of some churches' philosophies regarding what they're willing to forgive versus what they're willing to excommunicate or humiliate people for. And I hope that through this story, the people that need their pain and abuse acknowledged right now feel especially seen and heard. Again, I would not recommend this story if these subjects trigger you, but I hope to portray these themes with sensitivity and meaning that may help someone feel less alone. And if you are the person that feels that way, please know that you're not. And I hope that through this story, the people that need their pain and abuse acknowledged right now feel especially seen and heard.